Hello again, everyone. This is your favourite pestilence, B. Harper, and I'd like to welcome you again to another book review. Today I will be looking at Scott Smith's The Ruins. Alright, so as quite a few of you out there already know, The Ruins was adapted into a movie, and may I say, it was actually one of the better films that had come out that year. Was it great? No, but it was incredibly solid, and it had itself a really good cast. Now, in saying that, this review is not going to draw active comparisons between the movie and the book, because now that I've read the novel, I can now appreciate the differences between them. And additionally, I don't want to go too in-depth about what happens in this book, because for me to do that would rob you of the experience, especially if you haven't seen the film or have read the book. So think of this review as something very, very general, and it's not going to give away any sort of crucial detail. So before I get into the review itself, I'm just going to read the back blurb of the book, and then we're going to go into it. Okay? Here we go. What happens when one simple, innocent decision becomes a catastrophic mistake? Craving an adventure to wake them up from their lethargic Mexican holiday before they return home, a group of 4 friends impulsively set off in search of one of their own who has travelled into the interior to investigate an archaeological dig in the Mayan ruins. After a long journey into the heart of the jungle, the group come across a trail. A hillside covered in bright red flowers lures them closer. A Mayan horseman approaches behind them, but this is no friendly welcome. He has a gun and orders them away fiercely. In the midst of the confrontation, one of the group steps inadvertently backwards into the flowering vine. And at that moment, their world changes forever. Look, let's not, be oblivious here. Writing a book is a very difficult thing to do, especially if you are writing a novel that deals with horror/thriller aspects. This type of genre is so broad, it is so huge, and it has been constantly exposed and reinvented and imitated and everything like that. It's really no different to how movies are treated. But even if you don't necessarily have an original idea, you can still have an original type of execution. And that is primarily what The Ruins has going for it. The Ruins has a very oppressive and bleak and nihilistic approach, but it works in the book's favour. This entire story could have easily overstepped the boundaries into cheese here. This could have easily gone into Roger Corman type of territory. And by the way, I love Roger Corman, so please don't think I'm bashing him here. But the fact of the matter is, when you read this novel, and when you take into account what is actually going on here, you are more thankful that this approach is a little more subdued and far more psychological. It's brutal, it's vicious, it's hateful and vindictive, but it works. So, what can I actually say about this book without giving anything away? Well, first and foremost, this book is a commentary on quite a few things. It's about, the consequences of going somewhere or saying something that you're going to regret later. Additionally, it also plays on the notion that human beings are, by nature, very curious creatures. When we are in a rut of something, and when we find something new and exciting, it is in our DNA to find out more about it. We become hungry for it. And even if it may cost us our lives or whatever else, we're still going to find ourselves being drawn to this thing. And that is perhaps one of the ultimate hubrises that humans have. When we see something new, when we want to experience something completely beyond our scope, it usually ends up destroying us, or at least it makes us question, who we truly are. The Ruins is a survival horror sort of book, and even though the term survival horror is used mostly with video games, I still find it is a genre that can easily cross the border between the mediums. Video games, books, movies, television series, radio plays, drawings, comic books, you know, anything that we are capable of creating, these themes tend to sort of, you know, travel over the boundaries. And The Ruins is no exception. I have not read A Simple Plan, even though I have seen the movie, but I hear the book is quite different to the film itself. The same thing can be said about this book. Given I had seen the movie before I read the novel, I had my own ideas as to how the book was going to approach these things, even though the book was written first, obviously. So when I finally read the novel, when I saw these words on the page and read the story that Scott Smith himself had written, I actually now find myself preferring the book over the movie. And sometimes it doesn't necessarily work like that for me. It all comes down to the tone and the un-Hollywoodification, if you will, of the tale being told here. The movie itself is quite different. Now, different doesn't actually mean, you know, bad, as we well know, but if you've seen the novel and if you've read the book, you'll know what I'm getting at here. But like I said, this review is completely spoiler-free, so I'm not going to go into particulars here. But going back to how I feel, this book is a breeze to read. It's very short for all intents and purposes, but it is so packed full of wonderful and fantastical sort of stuff. And most of it branches back to you know, human psychology, the human condition. And look, human beings by nature are curious and paranoid. And when a book is able to sort of, you know, extend its tendrils into your body and into your brain and just like, you know, play around with your synapses and stuff like that, that is when something is most effective. When you find yourself intellectualizing about what is going on and everything like that, that's when something is successful. There is nothing worse than, you know, making a book, or rather, you know, a writer writing a book, you know, with a particular sort of set of values in mind, and nobody getting it. And to this book's credit, it could have easily gone in that sort of direction. This could have easily been a cheesy and ridiculous pulp sensationalistic type of piece, but it's not. It is incredibly cerebral, and it is able to strike you in places that you probably wouldn't have predicted. So, yeah, this little baby right here is a very sort of mean-spirited piece of literature, but why do we read this sort of stuff? We read it because we like to live vicariously. We may feel sorry for the characters that suffer in these situations, but at the end of the day, our curiosity has been sated. Okay, so when the terrible events in this novel, you know, unravel before our eyes, we find ourselves being shocked, of course, but ultimately we find ourselves thinking that, one, we are thanking our lucky stars we are not the situation, and two, it's interesting to sort of think about the fact that when we are reading a book like this, we tend to rationalize what is going on. We tend to say to ourselves, oh, I wouldn't do this, or I wouldn't go here, or I wouldn't say that to somebody else. But when you are in this type of situation that these four poor kids are put into, you know, rationality kind of like goes out the door. The instinct to survive kicks in. The Lord of the Flies syndrome, if you will. That is kind of an association I would make with this book. Like, obviously, it doesn't follow the actual plot line of Lord of the Flies, and its circumstances are incredibly different. But the overall notion of people being thrown into a dangerous and violent situation and doing whatever they can to survive, that is what this book does. It makes you question what you would do. It throws away any sort of convention that you may have had about, you know, what would happen to you if you were in these people's places. I love it when a book is able to do that. I love it when it's able to just, like, you know, delve deep into your psychology, and it is able to just, like, make you confront these things. Really, really cool. So, in saying that, I would give The Ruins a maybe a 4 out of 5. Now, the reason why I don't give it a 5 out of 5 is simply because, look, it all comes back down to the idea of originality. But these days, let's think of it from this perspective. Nothing is original anymore. Don't give me that. You know for a fact that there is nothing on the screen or on the page that is completely and unequivocally original. Alright, so what truly matters is how the book approaches these things, and that is what this book is all about. It is about the execution. It is about the execution of the events and the, you know, what happens to these characters as these things unfold. So, yes, that was my very slapdash approach at oh god, I just spat. That was my very slapdash approach of The Ruins by Scott Smith. I really do highly recommend reading this book, and if you have not seen the movie, I think you owe it to yourselves to read the book first and then see it. And whatever conclusions you make about, you know, what's happening, or rather, I should reinstate that. Whatever conclusions you draw about, you know, what is better, I think you will find the book has that edge, because it is just so densely packed with material. It really makes you think, and the final page will probably leave you stunned. And that is all I'm going to say. So thank you once again for hearing me ramble, guys, and as usual, I shall see you in the next video. Bye bye for now.